Hi guys, this is Maya. I watched Queen Charlotte and I'm gonna tell you why I think it works. It's a very good TV show. It accomplishes exactly what it's supposed to accomplish. And I'm gonna tell you two main reasons why I think that is, why I think it's really good. But first, I wanted to share something that just... I don't even know how to talk about this, but it ties somewhat to Queen Charlotte, so I think, you know, it's only fitting. I've had an incredibly hard last week, and I had my birthday on May 3rd, and well, it's just been so incredibly lonely. And of course, Netflix gave me a reason to cry some more, because I don't know, maybe on purpose or maybe subconsciously in a masochistic way, I tried to like emulate that state. So I thought, yes, of course I'm gonna watch Queen Charlotte. Why not? And it only got worse from there. So yes, unfortunately, I've been incredibly lonely majority of my life. At least I felt this way since I was a kid, and that's why stories were sort of my safe place, you know, my sanctuary. It just feels like it's getting worse and worse and worse, especially this week. And after seeing Queen Charlotte, I just... sorry. I didn't mean to really tear up, because that's, you know... I don't want to be like, oh, poor me on the internet, look at me. But yeah, maybe sometimes we gravitate to stories that really are trying to tell us something. So yeah, this week was not fun. When is it gonna be me? When is it gonna be my turn to have that kind of love? Yeah. Not today, but at least we have Queen Charlotte. So let's get into that. Were you guys wary of this Bridgerton spin-off? Because I was. I have to admit, I was like, who cares? I mean, I don't care. I don't think we need that story to be told. But I stand corrected. It's, well, in my opinion, it's so much better than Bridgerton season 2. It continues the threads of themes I saw in Bridgerton season 1, and I was expecting to see them evolve and were really shown in season 2, but that didn't happen, so I was incredibly disappointed by season 2. And so yeah, I would like to officially repent for being one of the people who were like, come on, do we need a whole universe around Bridgertons? Not really. And one of the reasons I think Queen Charlotte works, and I think why Bridgertons were such a hit and interesting premise, was because I love when stories that are designed to elicit a specific kind of emotion, like romances, and who are really written and produced for a specific type of audience, for young girls, also make an effort to tell a story that isn't only about, you know, the passionate love scenes, the longing looks and all of that, but also something more underneath. And it's more heart-wrenching, more real, more everything than I seen in season 2. And I know I'm bashing on season 2, And there are a lot of people who actually felt like season 2 was better than season 1. I am not one of them. Season 2 felt really patchy and just dull, uninteresting to me. With season 1, I was really uncertain with where this was going. I was like, wow, do they really break up at the end? What is going on in this relationship? With season 2, it was just so obvious that they were gonna just drag this on until the very end when they finally get together. So it was just really, really predictable. And that was like the main problem I had with season 2. Now, Queen Charlotte is not without its faults. It starts really slow and I was prepared to end it after 15 minutes, but I was lazy and I was in really bad shape and I was over there under my blanket and I thought, okay, it doesn't really matter what I do this evening, so I might as well watch this, even if it's completely boring. But the minute George was introduced, I was sold. Because if I have to compliment anything, the biggest one is the cast. They are perfect for these roles. Young Queen Charlotte looks exactly like the old one. She has the same face, mannerisms. It's amazing. And George really manages to give an incredible performance for a series that isn't really supposed to be that serious, you know, with its themes and topics. But here he is really incredible, just incredible. It's perfectly constructed and we get to learn so much about Queen Charlotte, who she is as a character, who George is as a character, and then we experience his point of view and Lady Danbury's as well. We even get to know a little bit more about Violet Bridgerton. So it's a very fun addition to the story, Bridgerton story overall. We finally get the exploration of what was the most interesting part of season 1 for me, which is how would our society look like? What would it look like if people of color were really embraced and introduced to aristocracy in 1800s? It was a very interesting question that this show was posing in season 1, but it wasn't really explored in season 2. It was just sort of there. Nowadays, it really feels like diversity and representation in movies is just a part of a Hollywood checklist and not part of the story. Characters that are played by black actors aren't really black characters, or they aren't really developing black stories. It's just sort of this afterthought of a casting decision. Because Bridgerton, both books and TV show, is basically like a fan fiction of stories we know and love from Jane Austen, Charlotte Bronte. How would that stories look like if it wasn't only about white people, if it was also black people that were part of these social circles and constructs in that time? This time around, we really get an answer how it would come to pass, how it would look like, what white society would do in response to that, how black community would have to work twice as hard to be really appreciated and have the same privileges and the same position in society. And this series, this time around, really answers all of those questions with amazing characterization and portrayal of young Lady Danbury. Her husband was scary, to say the least. Her story really touched on so many subjects, from what it means to be a black person to what it means to be a woman in that times. It was so real and honest how her whole character arc. And throughout the whole season we get both young versions and old versions of these characters, so one sort of informs the other, and we finally get to see the stories of the women that aren't really the central characters of Bridgertons, but we're always there. This time around, these characters really tell a compelling story about alienation, social rejection, contempt, and since that one little scene in season 1 that was amazing and I love it and got me really interested in Bridgertons in the first place, this is the first time we actually get to explore that theme of the story. And of course I'm talking about the scene between Lady Danbury and Simon in season 1 when she tells him that he shouldn't take for granted how love can really change things in our lives, how love can really transform society, because it transformed their society, because King George fell in love with Queen Charlotte and exalted Black people to be a part of this community. That shows how much is at stake, how fickle it is, how it is dependent on their whims. It really informs what Queen Charlotte is about, especially with Lady Danbury's character, how she's constantly working and struggling to gain people's respect, to gain her husband's respect, to gain people's love and appreciation for what she does, and she's never loved for it, to be honest. So that was one of the things that I found very interesting about Queen Charlotte. The second one was that even though it's a romance story, and of course it's very romantic and there are lots of passionate scenes throughout, which is why it's so pleasurable to watch, it's also very, very heartbreaking, because at its core it's a story about how much of a struggle it is to fall in love with a person that isn't all there, and how in turn impossible it is to allow anyone to love you when you feel like a burden all the time. So this is a story of love, struggling relationships, not cringy, artificially prolonged longing, that was season 2, but a hard dose of what it actually means to develop a long-lasting relationship. A connection that isn't always smooth, isn't always banter and passion, but filled with obstacles, problems that make you wonder, do we really belong together? Is this right? Needing to make decisions that may scare you even if you don't realize it. Not being fully open, constantly fearing rejection and abandonment. The need to appear perfect for your partner even when you are crumbling. Trying to master yourself and your demons and persevering because you're fighting for someone really important to you. Queen Charlotte offers us a far greater story than just romance, focusing less on the passionate scenes in the bedroom, but more about hearts and souls of people trying to navigate the marriage filled with lies and illness. A tragic story of loneliness, duty, and love that sometimes endures after the death of a loved one, or make us take care of them even when they are no longer the same. I wasn't expecting to feel this many emotions, especially not from a Bridgerton type show, because the last scene that really elicited those feelings for me was Viscountess telling Daphne about missing her husband in season 1. This story ties all of these women together. Both the Queen and the Viscountess are grieving the loss of their husbands, even if in different forms, while Lady Danbury grieves never having that kind of love at all. That's why she tells Violet that she should be grateful that she had that feeling in her life. This story isn't as exciting or filled with youthful, loving energy, but that's what makes it 10 times more interesting for me. We oftenly don't get stories of what came after Ever After. Hollywood writers love stories for girls, but never for mature women. Romance between two 50-year-olds in Top Gun Maverick was a topic of many conversations when it came out, but as it turns out, if the story is heartfelt and the love is pure, not only 18-year-olds can tell it on screen. I have to applaud Bridgerton producers and casting. Queen Charlotte is refreshingly genuine and Lady Danbury regal and formidable. King George gives also an amazing performance, showcasing us how difficult it is when everyone in your life expects you to be perfect and your mind betrays you. I think in many ways this show reminds me of one of my favorite movies, A Beautiful Mind, and how difficult it is to struggle with mental illness, how it can destroy both you and your loved ones. But if you stop being afraid of being a constant burden and let them be there for you, it can be a source of greater strength. I love how, even though I wished we got more time with the younger versions of the characters, we got to see 3 older women, each of them still working for their happy ever after. As Lady Danbury says, Lady Whistledown never writes of our hearts. We are the untold stories. But with this little show, no more. Be prepared. If you're someone who cries, I suggest you supply yourself with a lot of tissues for this one. And yeah, enjoy, because at the end of the day, those stories are there for our enjoyment and because we want to feel something with these characters. So that's exactly what this show was supposed to accomplish, and it delivers perfectly. Thank you so much for watching. You know that I got, literally on my birthday, I got 100 subscribers. Like, I hit that mark, and wow, I'm so thankful to anyone who subscribed to me. Thank you so much, and thank you for watching and liking these videos. After years of really keeping those thoughts and feelings to myself, now I get to just give them to you for free. So I like interacting with you in the comments. I think all of you have interesting ideas. Please consider subscribing. And yes, I'll see you later.